Ladies and gentlemen, today there is something I want us to discuss. Have you ever sat down and look at Jamaica as a country or Jamaicans as a people, and you look at the biblical Joseph and you realize that there is some similarities between the biblical Joseph and Jamaica as a country? You know, sometimes I sit down and I look at the character of Joseph and the things that Joseph went through. And I look at Jamaica and Jamaicans and the things they've gone through, the characteristics. And you're going to realize that there is a close similarity or close similarities between Joseph, the character in the Bible, and Jamaica as a country and Jamaicans as a people. Now, for those of us who know the story of Joseph, Joseph was the most loved son, of Jacob. He was the most favorite. And you're going to realize that being loved by the father, he was hated by the brothers. And they even planned to sell him. They even wanted to kill him. But eventually they sold him. At the end of the day, Joseph still came and rescued the brothers. Ladies and gentlemen, I've always thought of this thing for a very long time. Trying to compare the biblical Joseph and the characteristic of Jamaicans and Jamaica as a country. So today, I want us to look at the life of Joseph and try and compare it with the life of Jamaicans and Jamaica as a country. Number one, I'd like us to look at the fact that Joseph was the most favorite son of his father. I've ever realized that in the whole world, you go to Europe, you go to Africa, you go to very many continents, you're going to realize that Jamaica is one of the countries that, is favorite, like is favored in many countries. You go to Japan, you go to Canada, you go to Britain, you're going to realize that Jamaica is the most favorite countries, in each and every part of the world. And this has brought a lot of, will I say, hatred or jealousy or envious among other countries. Now you look at Joseph being the most favorite son. The brothers were envious. They were jealous and they even hated, Joseph so much. And if you look at Jamaica, sometimes the envy, the jealousy that is directed towards Jamaica, it is because of Jamaica is one of the most favorite countries in the world. Come to Africa as an African, let me speak with the perspective of being an African. You go to South Africa, you go to Zimbabwe, you go to Morocco, you go to Kenya, you go to Ghana, Nigeria, you're going to realize that Jamaica is the most favorite country. And this doesn't sit well with many countries. It's like Jamaica is competing them, but it is not a competition. It is a favor that Jamaica as a country has found in many parts of the world. And so we go back to the story of Joseph. Joseph was the most favorite son, and this never sat well with the brothers. And they planned, to kill Joseph, but eventually they sold him just because he was the most loved. So the love that Jamaica is receiving globally, the love, the attention that Jamaica is receiving globally in the whole world doesn't sit well with many countries, ladies and gentlemen. Number two, Joseph had a dream and he was honest. And so Joseph comes and he tells the brothers about the dream that he has. And envy and hatred starts there. He had another dream and he told the father and the brothers. Another hatred started. Now, what am I trying to point out? Joseph was honest, with a dream. And once someone's dream comes into reality, it's like an achievement. Today, if Jamaica is honest with you, and they come and they tell you, what? We are the pioneers in hip-hop. Hatred comes, envy comes, and jealousy comes. If Jamaica is honest with you, and they tell you, what? We've got the best food. You see jealousy and envy. If they come and they tell you, what? We've got the best music. We've got the best beaches and waterfalls. just being honest. The way Joseph was honest with his brothers that, you know what, I have a dream. And this is what, I'm being honest about with you. The brothers hated him. So today, Jamaica just coming out and speaking the truth and saying, you know what, we are a country that also contributed to the civil rights movement in the United States. You're going to see at the comment section the kind of, envy and jealous that comes along. So you compare Jamaica and Joseph. Joseph being honest, with the dream. And Jamaica being honest with the achievement that it has and the reality. You're going to see the hatred and the envy. I don't know if you guys are following along, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead. Joseph was the youngest son before Benjamin, and when he was sold by the brothers, when they decided to sell him, among them, Joseph was the youngest. Now, if you talk about him being young, he was just 17. So look at the size. He was the smallest. Now look at the size of Jamaica and the population. Look at the size of Joseph and the influence that he had. And look at the size and population of Jamaica. You're going to realize that we've got similarity. Joseph at a younger age is already causing a lot of influence. Jamaica, with a small size population and the small size it has, it is widely known in the whole world. And so if you look at the size of Joseph, and the influence he had at that particular time, and the size of Jamaica, you are again going to see some similarities. I don't know if I'm the only one who looks at this and sit down and say, you know what, there is some similarities between Jamaica and the biblical Joseph. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead. Number 4, Joseph is unjustly accused in Egypt. When Joseph is in Potiphar's wife, he is accused wrongly, of raping Potiphar's wife. Now, sometimes in the media, you hear some things that are being said about Jamaica and you even wonder, we've got things that are happening in the whole world, but wait until these things happen in Jamaica. We've got negativity happening in the whole world, in Africa, in Asia, in Europe. But when it happens in Jamaica, it is blown out of proportion. Ladies and gentlemen, Joseph is also being accused falsely. Sometimes you look at the media and even some things that are being said about Jamaica, even Jamaicans wonder, the Jamaicans in their country, they are enjoying the cool vibes. But sometimes you look at the media and you're like, what is it? Do they fear, the influence and the power that this small Caribbean country has caused in the whole world? And so you look at Joseph, he's wrongly accused, because of the envy that Potiphar's wife also had towards him. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead. Now, Joseph in Egypt, after being accused, is taken to the prison. In prison, Joseph, he is interpreting dreams. So what am I trying to say? That even in prison, Joseph has stood out. In Egypt, he's brought to interpret the dream. He also stands out. During famine in Egypt, the 7 year, Joseph came up, he came out with a plan. Now look at Jamaica. Everywhere they go in the whole world, Jamaicans will always stand out. You go to the United States, the politics of US, the civil rights movement, entertainment, field, track and field, athletics, boxing. You go to Africa, South Africa, you go to Australia, you go to, Panama. You're going to realize that Jamaicans have stood out. I don't know if you guys are following that everywhere Joseph went, in the prison, in Potiphar's wife, in Egypt, he stood out. Now, if you come and compare the similarity between Jamaica and the biblical Joseph, you're going to realize that each and every part of the world that a Jamaica has gone, that Jamaicans have gone, they've always stood out. And so you can never bring them down. Joseph is taken into the prison, but still he stands out. So whenever Jamaican goes, they're still going to stand out, ladies and gentlemen. Lastly, Joseph, when he's in Egypt, Joseph has been appointed, and now he's second in command. He's got a very big position. And so when there was famine, drought, in their country, the brothers and the family went to Egypt, and they realized that Joseph had a very big position. But you know what? He forgave the brothers. Now let's come back to Jamaica. We all know the transatlantic slave trade. And this is something that I'm not going to lie. When our brothers were sold from Africa, ladies and gentlemen, our brothers were sold. And now Jamaica is the only country that has always stood with us, despite the fact that there was a very bad history that happened between Africans and the Caribbeans, and even our brothers in the United States. Still, Jamaica is standing for South Africa. Jamaicans are still fighting for us. In other words, they have forgotten the history that happened. They have forgotten the transatlantic slave trade, and they are supporting their brothers. They are forgiving. I don't know if you guys are following up. Joseph forgives the brothers, despite the fact that the brothers sold him to Egypt. He gives them a land, and he welcomes them back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you compare that with the Jamaicans, Jamaica as a country has always, sang Mama Africa, praised Mama Africa, and stood with Africa, ladies and gentlemen. But if you look at the history, we sold our brothers. And so they could have said, you know what? We don't want anything to do with Africans. But Jamaicans have still forgiven us. And they're always standing with us. So ladies and gentlemen, I sat down and I was like, I've been asking myself, are Jamaicans the biblical Joseph? Because you look at the life of Joseph, him being wrongly accused, the brothers hating him and being jealous of him, and now you come back and look at Jamaica, the things that Jamaica has gone through, the potential, the influence, the envy, the hatred, and them coming to, to conquer each and everything that was set against them. You realize that there are, similarities, close proximity between the biblical Joseph and Jamaicans, or Jamaica as a country. And so if you think that whatever I'm saying has got some reality, you can put it in the comment section. Because this is something that I've sat for a long time. And I normally ask myself, is Jamaica the biblical Joseph? Or are there some similarities? So ladies and gentlemen, today I was just trying to analyze the similarities between the biblical Joseph and the Jamaicans, or Jamaica as a country. And so those who are new in this channel is called African Walk. Our main name is, promote love. And our inspiration comes from Marcus Garvey, who wanted to see all Africans within the continent and out of the continent come together. And I've said that we promote love, which came from a song sung by Bob Marley, One Love. So for now, my people, I just want to say goodbye. Let's talk tomorrow, same time, same place. We say little more.